Well, good morning, everybody. It is about 8 o'clock in the morning. We have just gotten back from vacation a couple of days ago. Right now it feels really nice out. It's really probably in the 70s right now, very pleasant. Yesterday was a glorious day. We actually had a full day of rain, which was so needed. You can probably see behind me, my grass is just brown and crispy, and things are just really suffering around here. So it was so nice. It was only the high in the 70s yesterday. So I was so thankful to come home to that. But I just wanted to give you kind of a quick update, maybe do a little cleanup with you around the gardens, just show you how things fared while we were gone. We were away for a week. We got to go down to the kind of Asheville, North Carolina area. Right outside of there, we were at a lake called Lake James. My mom rented a house down there for my brother's family and our family. It was very relaxing. That area is super beautiful. I did not take a ton of pictures and video because I wanted to be present with my family and be able to relax and just kind of unplug and unwind. The cell service was terrible. The internet was very slow. So it was just a good opportunity to unwind. But I did take a little bit of video and some pictures. We were able to go visit the Biltmore in Asheville. I had never been before, never actually ventured into Asheville before. It was absolutely beautiful, just stunning. We, of course, walked around all of the gardens, absolutely glorious. It was very warm and very hot as it was up here, but we tried to get them in kind of, earlier in the day, and then we proceeded to take a tour of the house, which was mind-blowing. After we walked through the gardens, we walked all through the conservatory in the gardens, and they have this beautiful outdoor space right outside of the conservatory that is filled with rose gardens and perennials and annuals. I saw some repeats of some flowers that I am using here in my garden, which was a big surprise and just really nice to see. I think they had the strawberry fields Gomphrena growing in their gardens that I have tried to grow from seed in mine. I have some growing in a pot, but so far the direct seeding in the ground has not been very successful. But it was nice to see it flourishing and looking beautiful. So that was just a real treat to walk around the Biltmore. And then a couple of days later, we ventured up into Blowing Rock, North Carolina, which I had been to a couple of times before. I just love that town. If you're ever in that kind of Asheville area, definitely take a trip into Blowing Rock. It's up in the mountains and right along the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina. The drive there is spectacular, the views of the mountains, and the town is the most adorable, just little beautiful town that I've ever been to. It's so cool. The gardens are fantastic. I did not remember them being that gorgeous before. Maybe I just wasn't looking good enough or something, but they were stunning. I took a little bit of video of some of the gardens and just some of the containers. I saw a lot of my Mystic Illusion dahlia that I have right behind me that inspired me to use that a little bit more in my garden in different places. Right outside of the library in town, they had this amazing kind of a perennial, a lot of annuals, but it was gorgeous. It was so vibrant in color, and it kind of reminded me of watching videos of Mackinac Island a little bit, with just this stunning display of annuals and some perennials, just a riot of color, which is what I tend to go for a lot here in my own garden. So just lots of inspiration, and just left me feeling rejuvenated a little bit and ready to come home to my gardens and get to work in them. Unfortunately, when I got home, All of my containers survived. I had my wonderful neighbors over here to my left watering them. I grouped them all together on my patio and just made it very accessible for them to be able to use my hose and just give them water all at once. That's a really nice thing to do if you're going away and you have a lot of containers, if you're able to group them together for whoever is doing your watering. So all of my containers survived. Unfortunately, things in the ground did not. The rabbits, I told you before, I have a family of baby bunnies. They went to town on all of my zinnias. They chewed off all of my dahlias, my Melina fleur dahlias. So I have no Melina fleur dahlias left. And they nibbled on a lot of other things. So I was really just bummed to come home to that, but I have to move on. I have a little bit of zinnias that I had already started from seed growing on my deck that I can pop in the ground. I am hoping for the best to be able to bring some of these back to life again. And yeah, just kind of going with it. It's not the best gardening year for me with my injury and the drought that we've had, the heat wave, being gone for a week in the middle of the heat wave, just left my garden not looking the absolute best. So I'm just gonna walk you around and show you some of the beautiful stuff, because there is still a lot of beautiful stuff. I think that as gardeners, we're so hard on our own gardens, we forget to look at all of the beautiful things that are still existing. I think in my mind, I had this picture of what everything was going to look like, and that often happens where it just doesn't come to fruition because of the weather or rabbits or, whatever. Every year is different. Some years are better than others. So let's just take a realistic walk and see how things are doing. We're gonna start outside of my yard, outside of my main gate here, because this is one absolutely gorgeous thing that I have blooming. This is my Thomas Edison dahlia that overwintered for me in the ground this past year. Look at how gigantic it is. It is probably, well, it's as tall as the fence, so 4 to 5 feet high, 4 to 5 feet tall, I should say. It is so beautiful. This is a dinner plate dahlia, so it gets these gigantic blooms in this beautiful deep purple color. It is just looking stunning right now. This is one maintenance thing that I do need to do. I do have it staked, but I need to tie it up a little bit better. As you can see, that it is completely coming over the fence, coming into the entryway here. So I just need to tie that up a little bit better. And then right below it, I had stuck these raspberry ripple zinnias that are starting to finally take off. These did amazing. They didn't get any water while I was gone, and they had only been in the ground for probably 2 weeks. But you can see they're putting on their blossoms. They're gonna look really pretty right there. And I have a rhododendron, and then these autumn joy sedum are looking gorgeous. They have really taken off. They're doing really well, no flopping. Last year I had a little bit of trouble with them flopping and kind of rotting at the base, but this year I'm not noticing any of that. So they are looking great. I have an empty space right here in front of my rhododendron. I want to really work on filling out the empty spaces, and my hose link wand, don't mind that. I also have these Daisy May daisies that I did cut back, except for a few spent blooms right there that I need to come in and deadhead, but you can see that they are beginning to push out new growth. You can see the little buds. So I will get a repeat flush, not as prolific as the first flush, but I should get some more daisies. They are right in front of my red beauty holly here. And then I'm starting to get a second flush of my Oh So Easy red roses. I did not come in and deadhead these this year. I did that last year because of my hand. I just decided to let them go. They do something called burying their dead, which means they produce new blooms over top of the old dead blooms. So you don't technically need to deadhead them, but I do think they looked better last year after I deadheaded them. So next year I will probably make sure to do that. And then right below them are my serendipity allium starting to bloom. Love it when these start to come out. The combo with the red roses just is a perfect combination, I think. So very pleased with that. And then I'll just bring you around real quick. This is my winter gem boxwood hedge right here in front of an incredible hydrangea that is struggling a little bit. I'm thinking it might get too much shade because it is reaching for the sun and kind of almost uprooting a little bit at the base. You can see how it's kind of all laying to one side. So I'm not sure what I'll do with that next year. My dwarf globe spruce is looking beautiful. And then I have one little orange echinacea, or is this echinacea right here that I would love to get more of for this space to put along here, along the edge, but that's been blooming for weeks, looking very beautiful. And my overwinter geraniums right here, looking gorgeous. And then I guess I should probably step back and show you my begonia in the ground here. These are the Proven Winners begonia. This is the rose, what's it called? The Surefire Rose begonia by Proven Winners that are really beginning to fill out. They should cover this, almost that whole area by the end of the season. And this is all under our Merlot redbud tree right here. So very beautiful, this tree. It's the best that it has ever looked in a season. Really filling out and looking very healthy. Super, super happy with it. And you know, I think that I'm just gonna go over and show you the front real quick before I go into the backyard. So this is our front porch area. I did have a little bit of casualty with, I had some sun patience underneath our Autumn Brilliant Serviceberry down there, and they fizzled out, but they are starting to come back. So that is good. These sun patients established very well and did great while we were gone. They did not wilt at all. They handled the heat, the drought, everything so well. So very pleased with how they're doing. The boxwoods behind them also did well. That's the first year in the ground for those. They are very tiny still, but eventually will form a boxwood hedge with round boxwood shapes is my plan. And this is a Jane Magnolia that we did limb up recently, and I'm really loving the structure that it's adding, being able to see the trunk below. I think that is super, super pretty. This whole front section is really looking pretty. My container is doing well. Right down there, I had trimmed that back, the Calibrachoa, and they are starting to flush out again. And then I really want to show you over here. I guess we're just kind of going in this direction. These are some hosta that I put in from the front here. I split a bunch of hosta that were located in front of those Nandina, just in preparation to make some changes in this bed. I'd like to put hydrangeas all behind those boxwood next year if I can. A patch of lamb's ear and some purple polysucra that is getting nibbled down. I'm gonna have to kind of rethink this front area here. and some leggy incredible hydrangeas that I may relocate to the front there. I'm not sure that that's quite the right spot for them. Some loropetalum, and this is the Fall in Love Sweetly anemone that I put in last year that will fill out this whole front here and offer some really pretty fall interest and color. You can see the flower buds already budding up. They will be a beautiful pink color. This whole bed I really can play around with. Not a whole lot going on in here. This Weigelia came back beautifully. We cut it all the way to the ground for some work that we had done, and it flushed out even better than it was before. It was very woody and just not the best looking, but it is beautiful. Next year, I'm so excited to see the flowers on that. We have another loropetalum, and then this is a denim and lace Russian sage that I put in this year that is really starting to flush out some beautiful flowers. I am actually going to add 2 more to either side of this to create a little hedge right here. And here are my other incredible hydrangeas that are looking beautiful. And look at the sun patience in front of this one. These are the red candy sun patience. They are thriving in this spot. They love it around this hydrangea. They've gotten so big and just create this beautiful, almost like cloud of pink underneath this incredible. Just really love it. I think next year I may add some on this side also, just to create some, you know, consistency to kind of mirror this other side. I think would look really pretty. So let's, I guess, take a walk in through this gate, and then I will work my way over to my main flower border. So this side is really struggling. I do love the view and the vista here with my green giant arborvitae and the skip laurels around my hot tub. Just a lot of structure. These hollies right here. This is the Dragon Lady holly. And then my obelisk and the river birch trees in the background just really offer a beautiful view when flowers are not doing so great. So over here, I planted these viburnum. These are the sweet talker viburnum that will create a hedge. And then I had planted all of these annuals grown from seed along the front, hoping for just kind of a riot of color. Well, you can probably see that everything has been just completely nibbled down. The leaves have been eaten off, and some things just taken out of the ground. I have 1 cosmos left right there that I think I'm gonna put in a container to try to preserve it and get some blooms on it. So I'm really gonna have to come in and redesign this whole area and see what I can find. Maybe in the garden centers, I may move some of these zinnias over by my crepe myrtle, where I have some other zinnias growing, and just kind of start from scratch in this bed. You can see this is the apricota cosmos. I was so excited to see the color, and I have 1 bloom beginning to form, 1 bud beginning to form. It's a beautiful iridescent, kind of pinky, corally purple color. I do have some tall ageratum in this bed that has not seemed to be touched too bad right there. And then I have another one right here. And some delphinium. I had 1 dye that I had grown from seed. 2 others are doing okay. And then I have some Soraya sunflowers that did not put on a ton of growth, and 1 looks like it got eaten off. So hoping that they begin to take off. They're just a classic yellow with brown center branching sunflower. And this side isn't looking a whole lot better, but I'll show you. Work in progress, I always say, especially over here. I put in this Sensation honeysuckle that is surviving. Next year it should look a lot more full. I did that, just stuck that in the ground this year. And as well as these Autumn Joy sedum I had moved around this year. they are not looking their best. And the alyssum I still have not taken out, but I might. It's okay. I grew this from seed, but it's really kind of ratty looking to my eye. I don't know. I'm just not in love with it right here. And then a lavender I grew from seed that did not flower this year. I hope that overwinters for me. And a tiny Oh So Easy red rose that I also put in this year that is doing good. So that is a quick update on this side. Let's just take a walk down here and I'll show you what's going on over here. Okay, welcome to my shade bed. This is where I get the most shade, where I put all of my hostas that are kind of centerpiece by this Autumn Brilliance serviceberry. Both of my serviceberries do have cedar apple rust and are looking more like fall than summer. They're getting a lot of dead foliage and just the leaves are turning brownish orange like it's fall, and the berries did not come to fruition. So that's a little bit upsetting to me, but as always, that is life. These are some Patriot hostas that I also had divided from my front porch area. Rosie's barking back there. And the hostas and ferns are doing well. Hi. Hi, Rosie. You say hi? Huh? She came to say hello and give me kisses. Rosie just wants to play right now. If you hear her barking and running in the background. This is, well, like I said, where I keep most of my hostas, and I have some Brilliance Autumn ferns that are really beautiful. The rabbits had a heyday on the middle one, but I have just kind of a mixture. I did put in some foxglove that I'm hoping to add some more. I have some more growing from seed. And I had this Casablanca lily that I'm gonna move, but it is out of bloom. Unfortunately, I didn't catch the blooms while I was away. I have some dead foliage on my hostas that I could come in and clean up from the heat wave. And I did put in these Sweet Talker viburnum to create a hedge back here as well that are doing really well. They're really taking off. This beautiful Woo La La hosta back here is probably not in the best location. You really can't see it very well, but it is getting huge. I have this Lake Blue Halcyon hosta that has really lost its blue color as the season goes on and it gets hotter. I've read that it actually burns the wax off of the leaf, and that is what protects it and keeps it blue. So that protective coating is gone, so it kind of reverts back to the green, which I wish it had that blue color all season long. But this is an elegans that I had gotten from my mom as a split. They get really big, and the wee hosta, beautiful curly texture on the leaf. I think those are so pretty. And just kind of repeated that over here. I have some heuchera that I'm protecting from the rabbits, the wildberry heuchera, and then I had put in this, oh gosh, what is Wiggles and Squiggles? I always want to call it the wee, but it's Wiggles and Squiggles. Another fun texture hosta, along with some foxglove. I'm excited to add some height to this area for next year, and some columbine. It looks like that might bloom for me next year. I put in this Roseanne geranium that is kind of struggling right now, but hopefully next year that'll come back. And then these hellebore kind of offer a nice green interest here in the summer, and beautiful white flowers in the early spring, late winter, early spring. And then I have my River of Impatience in front of my Annabelle hydrangeas. My Impatiens are doing okay, but I have to be honest that last year in each planting hole I had added Osmocote, and they took off almost immediately. And by this time last year, they were just a carpet of colors. This year I had my kids plant them and I was not going to make them do that, and I'm kind of trying to get away from using Osmocote in the ground and going more, you know, all organic in the ground. So I just sprinkled on some flower tone, but I can go back in and put in more flower tone and maybe use an organic liquid fertilizer just to give them a boost. But they just are a lot slower to take off without the Osmocote. So I'm hoping that by the end of the season, they give me the same show as they did last year. We shall see. It's a good experiment for this year. I do have some Hakanakloa all gold grass tucked in that I will have to move more to the front next year. I really want it to fill out this whole front border underneath my Annabelles to create that contrast in color and texture eventually. And I have just some more hosta, Patriot hosta, and some, or just one camellia. This is the April Kiss camellia that is really just doing great. I'm so glad that it's doing so good. And I had some clematis on each obelisk, pink mink clematis. It is only their second year. The one on the right did not take off, I think because it just gets a lot of shade. The one on the left did flower for me and did take off a lot better. So we're just gonna play around with that over the next year, see if there's something different that I could add to those that would do better in shade to part shade conditions. But that is just how my shadier border here is doing. Everything fared well. I'm impressed that my impatiens all made it. I was really thinking that they all might be dead by the time I got home. So very happy that I did not lose any impatiens, it seems, either. Let's work our way up to my main flower border past the green giants. Just give you a quick glimpse of this container that I had showed all of my containers in my last video. I did kind of a container garden tour / maintenance, but this is, I tied this up to fishing line. This is the Proven Winners Tangerine Uphill Climbing Black-Eyed Susan. It is finally starting to climb. I don't know that I will use this in a container like this again, because it's just, it likes to kind of go all over the place and it's kind of covering all of the other flowers, but it is a very beautiful vine. I think on its own it would be really pretty. I have some campfire marshmallow bidens that are really doing well. And ageratum, my alyssum, unfortunately lost its blooms while I was gone, maybe because of the extreme heat. And I did come in and deadhead things again, so I don't have that many geraniums in bloom. My bacopa is still looking really pretty. So those are doing, that container is doing really well. My ferns are doing really well. Kimberly Queen, great fern for the sun. My hummingbird container up there. I saw a hummingbird on it this past week. We saw it flying around. I'll show you it real quick. We saw it flying around on these, I always want to call it Nephophia, on these Vermillionaire. That was really fun to see. But it really did awesome, except for, again, the alyssum is not looking the best. I may rethink my alyssum next year, using that as a filler, and I don't know. It just hasn't seemed to perform super well for me. So that is my hummingbird / butterfly container. Let's take a walk down the steps. My veggies kind of exploded. Look at my cucumber vine and my sweet potato vine taking over the patio. But I am beginning to finally get some green beans in this little dwarf green bean container. So, well, actually not actual green beans, but the blossoms ahead of, oops, one just fell off, ahead of the green beans. So hopefully I have some of those to work with, and some jalapenos and dwarf tomato plants looking really good. My crepe myrtle is finally blooming. It is a little bit waterlogged. Everything is waterlogged because we did have a lot of rain yesterday, but it is finally starting to bloom. This is the Tonto Crepe Myrtle. Just gets these beautiful kind of watermelon pink flowers. So that is very exciting. And then underneath my crepe myrtle is a bed of zinnias that I had put in that got completely nibbled down by the rabbits. So my plan was to move all of these zinnias around when I got back, more into the center of this bed and just kind of more evenly dispersed. So I'm still gonna do that. I'm hoping that these, you know, somehow bounce back and bloom for me a little bit later. But, you know, that's all I can do is just wait and hope that they survive, and I'll just be diligent in sprinkling garlic powder and spraying and just doing all of the things. I did plant some purple purple basil that I had grown from seed that are getting a little bit bigger. I just kind of created a hedge behind my raspberry ripple zinnias. This one back here really took off right by Rosie there. So hoping for that. And they even ate the flowers of my raspberry ripple zinnias, which is the first time they touched my raspberry ripple zinnias. I'm telling you, the baby rabbits just do not care. They eat whatever. But look at how beautiful the blooms are. Love this flower so much. So hopefully they bounce back for me as well. And then just my Russian sage is looking pretty floppy, but beautiful denim and lace Russian sage. I unfortunately got a lot of burn on my Limetta hydrangea right here from the heat. That happens sometimes with these arborescents, especially my wee whites that I'll show you. So I can go in and cut off some of these crispy blooms, and they should flush out some new blooms for me. So I may go in and just selectively cut off some of these crispy blooms and see if I can get a reflush. Right in front of them is my boxwood hedge. These are all winter gem boxwood. These Coleus are doing fantastic. I kind of wish that I would have added a couple more, like maybe done a hedge of 5, because I really wanted them to fill out this whole like area here in front of my crepe myrtle. They may by the end of the season, but so far they're doing well. I think I needed like maybe 2 more instead of 3, maybe 5. But I do love how they contrast with the crepe myrtle, and the pink blooms on the crepe myrtle just really, I think, go nicely with the pink veining in the Coleus. So super pretty. Another Limetta hydrangea. And this is another kind of disappointment. I had planted these Desert Sun sunflowers all back in here. Show you up close here. Very beautiful. This one is kind of on its way out. However, these were supposed to get like 6 feet tall or more. And I don't know if it's because they are hiding behind this massive patch of salvia. This is the Mystic Spires blue salvia that overwintered for me in the ground. You can see the bees just love it. It is huge. It is actually almost as tall as I am. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about this next year, but it is really just taking over this bed. So they could have just shaded out the sunflowers too much to really like allow them to grow. You can see that I have 2 more. There's one hiding right there. So I'm not sure. I may have to thin these out for next year just to give room for other things to grow. I do have some more growing from seed, so I'm gonna try those again and see, you know, if they do any better. But I'm gonna show you, there is a dahlia right there. You can see it's completely taken to the ground. I had also planted hollyhocks back in here, which also have been completely eaten to the ground. And some more zinnias. all along the front here, also just completely eaten to the, well, not to the ground, but the foliage has all been nibbled off. So I'm gonna come in and see what I can do. I'm gonna maybe cut these salvia back a little bit and put some zinnias in front of them and just see if I can get any zinnias. I love zinnias. I really want them. I'm not giving up yet. My sweet peas are done. I'm gonna go in and take these out. I do have some purple hyacinth bean vine growing. This one is actually starting to grow pretty nicely. So my hope is that these take over the obelisk here. More tattered and battered zinnias right here. Oh, last year I had this whole front border filled with zinnias. It was so pretty. That's just so sad. But another Melina fleur eaten off. See that? Right down to the sticks. And a sunflower that was eaten off as well, despite my metal caging. And then more of the mystic spires, and here's some more stunted sunflowers, and the bees are just flying everywhere. See if I can show the sunflower to you without disturbing the bees, but see how short they are and how tiny the blooms are, but are very beautiful. It's just not at all what I was expecting. I had hopes for towering sunflowers over the mystic spires, and then I had hoped for, there's my other Melina fleur behind, or in front of Rosie, also just nibbled all the way down. Last year my Melina fleur were about, actually they were taller than me, I think. Like, I'm 5'4", and they just were so beautiful. So I was hoping for them to be peeking out all along this bed on either side of the mystic spires, blue salvia clumps, and just looking beautiful with the sunflowers. But that's just not going to happen this year. Maybe next year I'm going to leave them in the ground, because I did have a lot of my a few of my dahlias overwinter for me this year, so I'm going to try leaving them in the ground to see if they will get nice and tall for me next year. So something to look forward to. Let's just flip you around here and show you what's going on. This is another patch of zinnias. This is the Magellan zinnia that stays on the shorter side. Again, very nibbled down, but I do have some blooms that are starting. These only get to be about a foot tall, so a much tidier kind of front of the border variety. These two pink ones somehow got put right next to each other. Very, very beautiful. And then next to those are more of the Fall in Love Sweetly anemone that are budding up. These again transplanted this year, so not looking the greatest, yellowing, and they should come back really pretty next year. My Limelight Prime is really starting to bud up. Hopefully those blossoms get a lot bigger. Last year they were huge. You can see a lot of yellowing leaves from the dry weather. I actually had to come home and give all of my hydrangeas water because they were just wilting away and looked really bad. This is an HS State Dahlia that is starting to bloom. One of my favorite dahlias. It's a single open center dahlia that the bees and butterflies love. And my Rose of Sharon are very slow to take off. I'm getting blossoms here and there. This is the Purple Pillar variety. You can see I have one way up there, but they have been really slow to bloom for me this year. So I am hoping that they, you know, get in gear here pretty soon because I love those blooms. More raspberry ripple zinnia here in the front of the border that are beginning to take off. Oh, so pretty. And some spent perennials, some nibbled down lilies. That was my Royal Sunset lily. The rabbits are just eating that one down, as well as this flax that I never saw bloom, very sadly. I'm gonna have to protect that next year. peony that's falling over. Probably come in and trim that back. My herb pot is doing well, except I had 2 plants die and 1 that was taken by the rabbits, but have some rosemary and thyme still left. I might get a few other herbs to put in there. And you can see my black-eyed Susans are beginning to take off. They are not looking as good as last year. They desperately need to be split. They are just super floppy and just not blooming super well. They were wilting like crazy when I got home. I do need to also tie them up. So next year they are gonna get split for sure. I also have my daisies that are needing deadheaded. They were in their prime a couple weeks ago. They are getting a few more buds that I will probably, see come to fruition after I deadhead them. And I just have repeated that all the way down. I'm looking for some pink coneflower to add in here as well. Another casualty with my elephant ear. This was half dead when I came back from my last trip, and now it's half dead again. However, it is getting a new leaf. You can see it pushing out new growth, so it is not dead. And I am also gonna leave this in the ground. This is the Redemption elephant ear, rated down to zone 7. We are 7B, so hopefully that'll come back bigger and better next year for me. I have some catmint, Catch Pajamas catmint that is pushing out a little bit of new growth since I cut it back. Some ladies mantle I added in this year. I'm excited to see all of this really take off next year. Some orange blaze Nephofia that is on its way out. Again, a new plant for me. I added 4 of them all in the front of this border. Very excited for the years to come with that too. This is the Mystic Illusion Dahlia I was talking about. Gorgeous dark purple foliage with that open center, bright yellow flower. Helen von Stein lamb's ear right in front of my little lime hydrangea. I have that bamboo support there. I do need to restring before it gets any bigger, just to keep it from falling into my lamb's ear right there. And then really a repetition all the way down the line here with a few different things added in here and there. I think even the iris in its spent form without any blooms looks really pretty amongst all of the different textures. It just adds this different dimension to the garden. I have a pink coneflower there that is just did not do very well this year. It needs moved and is already spent. The flowers are already spent. And then this elephant ear has some leaves on it, but still not taking off like I had hoped. So again, if I leave it in the ground, maybe next year it'll come back even bigger and more beautiful. And wee white hydrangeas I'm really loving this year. Look at that combo right there with the black-eyed Susans, the daisies that are in bloom, the hydrangeas, and my caramel heuchera. I'm even getting a little bit of rebloom on my foxgloves down there. I'll go show you them. Right here are gomphrena. This is the Strawberry Fields gomphrena that I had grown from seed and put in the ground, and they are beginning to take off. I'm excited to see if they actually, begin to flower for me. And right behind my wee whites, I did also put in kind of a bed of zinnias for this year that are nibbled, but my hope is that they come up through this bench and really put on a show in the late summer here. And then these are my foxglove that put on some fresh blooms for me. Isn't that pretty? I will go in and cut these down very soon. You can see that I have all of these new baby foxgloves coming right beneath them, which is very exciting. So I'm hoping next year I have lots of foxglove to work with to move around and just spread all throughout my garden. So you can see that there is lots of destruction and disappointments, but also a lot of beauty left. And there's still, let's see, it's almost the end of July. So August, September, October, there was a beautiful butterfly. So really 3 months left of gardening. So hopefully by the end of those 3 months, I will have some zinnias and just some more beautiful things to show you. That is the end of my garden tour here at the end of July, kind of post-vacation update. I don't think I'm gonna get to any maintenance with you today, which this video is probably already long enough. I actually have to run to my hand therapy appointment at 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna have to just do that maintenance in little increments here throughout the week. I hope that you all are doing well and maybe experiencing some cooler weather, maybe some rain. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a great next week, and I will talk to you really soon. Bye.